Dobroveče poštovani gledaoci, pratite emisiju Povodi na kanalu radiotelevizije Mir. Veliko mi je zadovoljstvo što večeras u studiju imam priliku da ugostim njegovu ekscelenciju, ambasadora Švedske na Kosovu, gospodina Jonasa Vesterlunda. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you for having me.
We can start with many topics, but let's discuss the political situation in Kosovo. The elections are over, but yet the main institutions are not formed.
Well, we are now into the eighth session, I believe, tomorrow in the Kosovo Parliament. I can only say that I wish that the political parties will continue the discussions and that they will elect a Speaker of Parliament as soon as possible. I mean, the main thing here is that you need to look on the national interest, not only your political party's interest. Then again, we have other formation of governments in Western Europe there, when it has taken quite some time as well to form a government. So you need to balance that and understand the situation as well. But I can only encourage all the political leaders in Pristina to focus on the national interest as well.
What are your expectations? Are maybe new elections ahead of us?
Oh, I think it's too early to speculate in that. Of course, if there's no agreement, there has to be new elections, but it's too early to speculate about that, I believe. I think that the political leaders would need to talk, to sit down and make compromises and find a solution to a new speaker and eventually to a government. They're quite close. They being the Kurdi Vesterlund's proposal to have a new speaker, 57 seats, and they need to have 61, so they are still quite close. So I think we need to wait for some more time, and then we'll see.
We now have Serbian representatives in the assembly. How important is that for democratic processes?
I think that is extremely important. That is, of course, what the late Finnish President Martti Ahtisaari prescribed in the so-called Ahtisaari plan. I wish that the incoming Kosovo Serb parliamentarians would take an active role, because that's the whole purpose with democracy, that you represent the local constituency and that you take active part in the parliamentarian work, in the parliament sessions. And I really encourage the Kosovo Serbs to do that. I think it's not wise to not participate. I think there was a strategic mistake to withdraw from the institutions on the 5th of November 2022. When you're in a democracy, you need to be able to represent the local populations and take active part. You need to express the concerns of the local populations.
Serbian list won the majority of votes this time from the Serbian community. Other political representatives claim that some undemocratic methods were used, such as voter intimidation. How do you see that situation?
Well, I mean, we had an EU observation mission observing the elections, and they came out with a report. There were some complaints, some critique against the implementation, but in general, they were quite pleased with the outcome of the overall elections. I have full respect for all the voters. I have full respect for the Kosovo Serbian voters as well. It is a bit unusual in Europe to have 80-90% of the votes in any circumstances, but this is also an unusual situation. But in any society around the world, it's always healthy to have a strong opposition, a number of political parties, and and to have a political debate. But I respect the outcome of the voters, of course. So that's the result we have, and I don't think we need to look back at this. We need to look forward, and I hope that the representatives of the Serbian list will take an active part this time in the parliament. I think the Kosovo Serbs would need representatives in the parliament to be active.
For the last 2 years, Serbian people were under repression by the authorities in Pristina. Does it seem that way to you, or do you have a different opinion?
The European Union and its members have stated numerous occasions that we believe that neither Belgrade nor Pristina should do any unilateral actions in northern Kosovo. It should be done within the normalization dialogue in Brussels or anywhere else, but it's part of the normalization dialogue and together with the EU envoy. So we have said all the time that no more unilateral actions. I can only take note of that there has been a number of, yet again, unilateral actions by Pristina in December, in January, and just last week as well. We believe that should be negotiated, settled within the normalization dialogue.
When you mentioned the dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina, the new mediator was chosen recently. Do you think that these conversations will intensify now?
I believe that this is a good opportunity to take stock of where we are and to look ahead and see how we can find what is called the sort of confidence building measures to find some small steps to move ahead on those steps. So I think that with the new team in Brussels, including the new High Representative, Kai Kallas, and with the new envoy, Mr. Peter Sørensen, I think that we will come to a new momentum. But it seems, as always in the Western Balkans, it has to be good timing as well. We need to have a new government in Pristina. We also, well, let me not mention anything about Serbia. That's up to my Swedish colleague in Belgrade. But we need to have two strong parties on each side. So here in Pristina, we need to have a government in order to press ahead. But let's be optimistic and say that we have a government very, very soon, and then we can press ahead. I think that the new envoy would need to, I hope that the new envoy would need to take stock on where we are, try to find, like I said before, the possibility to move ahead on small steps and to look at things in a different manner than before.
So we can expect progress in the Belgrade-Pristina relation. That's your expectation?
We can expect a stream of several meetings, so a stronger momentum in the coming period. But we still need to have a government in Pristina.
Almost all institutions that were operating under the authority of the Serbian government were shut down. Your international representatives reacted with statements and disapproval, but nothing changed, and the Serbs are frightened. So how do you see that situation?
On the one hand, Sweden and most of the European Union member states recognized Kosovo in 2008, and we recognized all of Kosovo. So, and we believe that the Serbian-run institution should eventually be shut down, but it should be done within the normalization dialogue, and it should be done in an integrated fashion. So some of the Serbian-supported institutions should be integrated into the new institutions. But look, we need to look also at the services that they are being offered. I mean, one local Kosovo Serb here in northern Kosovo said to me when I used the phrase parallel institutions, I said, what do you mean parallel? They're shutting down some of the Serbian support institutions, but they're not establishing new institutions. So they're not necessarily parallel, but some of the services are being run from South Mitrovica. So we need to look at the vulnerable groups in northern Kosovo and look at the services being provided and the services that need to be provided by Pristina, and look on how we can continue that service. Because now I feel that both when it comes to the local representation and when it comes to the service provided by either the Serbian supported institutions or by the Pristina institutions, the local Serbs are not being supported by any of them.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that both when it comes to on the political level, when it comes to be represented during the local, during the normalization dialogue, for example, Pristina believes that they are representing the Kosovo Serbs in Pristina, and legally speaking, we fully support that. Belgrade believe that they are representing in the talks and normalization dialogue some of the Kosovo Serbs. I do believe that some of the Kosovo Serbs feel that neither Pristina nor Belgrade are representing them. The same thing, and that's my point, the same thing with the services now. Many Kosovo Serbs in the north are in a grey zone. So they're being no longer provided services from the Serbian-run institutions, and they're not being provided services from Pristina. And that we need to adjust, and the international community will need to assure that those services will continue.
The biggest fear for Serbs is not being able to access education and healthcare. Is there a way in this whole situation to prevent that?
Well, I mean, there is still an agreement that the health care and the education will continue to be run by Serbian-supported institutions, and I believe that Pristina has so far agreed to that. And also when it comes to actions in the field, they have not touched the educational system and the health systems in northern Kosovo. So that agreement still holds, is still valid.
Although it's mentioned less frequently, the Association of Serbian Municipalities is still present in the discourse. Earlier you have spoken positively about that. Is your opinion still the same?
Yes, my opinion is still the same. We believe Sweden, the European Union members, and the European Union believes that without delay, Pristina need to establish the Zajednica, the association of the municipalities in the 10 majority Serb municipalities. So we have no change there.
In Serbian majority areas in northern Kosovo, Albanian majors took office, although it's clear that they do not make the majority of population there. How do you see that situation? Do you have a communication with them, and how does this situation seem on the ground?
Well, I think the whole situation is unfortunate. I think I blame all the actors in this, because I do believe that on the 5th of November 2022, the Srpska lista should not have withdrawn from the institutions. I believe that it was a mistake by the Kosovo Serbs not to participate in the local elections, I believe it was a mistake not to participate in the so-called recall vote as well. In a democracy, you have to participate, and if you do not participate, well, that's then you cannot have representation. So that's the first thing. But then again, it's a difficult issue, right? But we have said that that they have been legally been appointed through democratic elections as local mayors. But it is a difficult situation when you only represent a very small part of the population, and when you only have a few percentage of any population to participate in the elections. You don't have the same legitimacy as a mayor when you only have a few percentage that have voted for you. Me and the other EU ambassadors, I believe, well, at least the majority of the ambassadors from the EU member states here in Pristina have decided not to meet with the mayors in official meetings, and we are looking forward to the local elections this autumn, and I certainly hope that all the Kosovo Serbs will participate.
And do you think that local elections will change the political situation?
Well, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. But once again, all the Kosovo Serbs would need to participate in the local elections as well. But I certainly hope so. So we can return to the situation, the institutional situation before the 5th of November 2022. We have also said on numerous occasions that we believe that the local police, the judges, the prosecutors should also return to the local institutions in the north.
Our citizen Branko Rakic was arrested recently. And do you follow these kind of police actions, and what's your opinion about that?
I don't have information of this particular case, but I've been following lots of cases in September last year and October last year as well, and in a few other occasions as well. But, you know, in some of these incidents, I think the Kosovo police did initiate an investigation and put some of the Kosovo police, suspended the activities of the Kosovo police. And so I think there is a system, and that system seems to be working on many occasions. It has also been occasions where the Kosovo police in Kosovo Albanian areas have been accused of excessive violence against the population, and there has been, of course, investigations then as well. But of course, as always, any fault of the misuse of police police authority should be investigated and be dealt with accordingly, of course. In particular, when you are a police officer in a minority area, you need to be particularly correct and vigilant, I would say.
As you mentioned, he is not the only one. So does maybe an international community has a mechanism to at least oversee these kind of processes?
Well, we don't have a I mean, before the independence of Kosovo in 2008, as you know, we have ANMIC here, and we had ICO here, and then we had proper mechanisms. But since 2008, it's all in the hands of the Pristina government and the Pristina authorities. So we don't have any sort of legal mechanism for this. We can always, of course, in dialogue with the government, make formal and informal statements. But if you're hinting at the EULEX, for example, they don't have a mandate to interfere. They can only report about incidents like that.
You mentioned earlier when Sweden joined NATO that should be the path Kosovo would also follow. You also said that the problem is in the fact that 4 member states did not recognize Kosovo. Why is it so important for the Kosovo to join NATO?
I think it's five countries have not recognized Kosovo among the EU members. Well, I think it's important for Kosovo to be integrated in all of the European Atlantic structures, meaning the Council of Europe, meaning the European Union, and meaning NATO as well. Why is that important? Well, look at the Council of Europe. If Kosovo will be a member of Council of Europe, the Council of Europe has a mechanism. You were talking about a mechanism before. Council of Europe has a mechanism to investigate into cases of minorities or any sort of atrocities or any sort of police violence against minorities. There is a mechanism within the Council of Europe. So I think if Kosovo were to be a member of the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, it would actually benefit not only Pristina and the Kosovo government, but in particular many of the minorities, including Kosovo Serbs, but also other minorities, of course, in Kosovo, but including Kosovo Serbs. It would be good for them. European Union is quite self-evident. I believe that when the European Union, before the European Community, but then the European Union was established, the borders between, for example, the Netherlands, the Belgium and Luxembourg, you can travel freely. You have lots of minorities in Europe. Take Belgium, for example. They have a German-speaking minority in Belgium. You have lots of minorities also in Luxembourg. You have it in Italy. Borders are not so important anymore, and therefore your own language, take the German-speaking minority in Belgium, for example. All of a sudden it's not so important that when you can travel freely, it's more important to the municipality where you belong. So you can use your language in the local municipality, and you can travel freely to Germany in this instance. NATO, I think it's important to be a member of that, because that will secure your borders for any attack outside Europe. You would also be part of a larger family, and you will feel part of that family as well. So you would train together. It is also important if you would take part of peacekeeping operations in Africa or the Middle East. Then Kosovo could take part together with other NATO members in doing so. So that would also train the military.
How present is the Swedish government in Kosovo through various projects?
Well, I think we're quite present. We have been here since the end of the 90s. We have a development budget with around 11 million euros annually, and we are supporting several projects when it comes to environment, gender equality, economic development. So those are the main focuses in Kosovo. Then of course we have trade promotion as well. We're trying to attract a number of Swedish companies to Kosovo. We have the Swedish company Ericsson, who won the telecom bid in December 2022 and in December 2023. So Ericsson now has the implementing mandate for the whole telecom sector in Kosovo. We also had a Swedish IT company called Sigma Technology, who started some IT operations here last year, April. I'm still trying my best to attract Swedish companies to start production in Kosovo, including in northern Kosovo. Starting production meaning to establish factories here, so that can create employment opportunities. I think that many of the donors could do more in northern Kosovo, including my own embassy, but we are financing several NGOs in Pristina that in turn has projects in northern Kosovo.
There is a perception, supported by many media surveys, that Serbs from Kosovo lost their trust in international community. What is your impression? Is there a way to restore that trust?
Well, I have sympathy for that on the one hand, but you should remember as well that we as the international community has increased the KFOR presence in northern Kosovo for the past 1 year. We have also increased the number of EULEX officers in northern Kosovo. We have increased the number of Swedish police officers within EULEX in northern Kosovo as well. So there is a strong international presence here. Even though there was 25 years since we had the conflict, there's still a strong international presence, in particular in northern Kosovo. But like I said, I do believe that it could be done more when it comes to the economic development in northern Kosovo. So if we're looking ahead in the coming years, I hope to be able to contribute to that as well.
Finally, I have to ask, where do you see this Western Balkan region in a few years? What future do you foresee?
Well, I come from a country close to the North Pole, right? You are sort of in the center of Europe in the sense that you're very close to Greece. You're very close to the Mediterranean. Look at Montenegro, look at Albania. There's a lot of tourism development in these countries. I see great potential for the Western Balkans. This is, you just need to become a member of the Council of Europe, become a member of the European Union, and then I think you will have a strong economic development. I mentioned the Swedish companies. You have a concept called nearshoring, meaning that lots of Swedish companies are moving their production, or at least their outsourced production, from China, from Southeast Asia to Europe. And that's what's called nearshoring, to have the production quite close to you, because they have realized that the logistical change around the world has been quite difficult during the pandemic, and also during the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. That's why they need to have factories much closer than Southeast Asia. And that's why I feel that they have lots of Swedish companies looking at the possibility to start production in these parts of Europe. Not only in Kosovo, of course, but also Romania, North Macedonia, Albania. So I believe that there is a great economic future in the Western Balkans. You just need to have the membership of the European Union. But I am a bit frustrated still that we have been doing this for such a long time. As I always say in interviews like this, I was here in the year of 99, I was here in 2000 as well. We see some progress in Pristina, but you see very little progress in northern Kosovo. And I'm a bit frustrated with the lack of progress when it comes to the normalization dialogue for the past 2, 3, 4 years. But like I said at the beginning of this interview, well, let's hope for with the new team in Brussels that they could revitalize the normalization dialogue. So we need to get membership with the European Union. I think that's the solution.
Thank you very much for this conversation. It was an honor.
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Poštovani gledaoci, bila je ovo još jedna emisija Povodi u kojoj smo ugostili švedskog ambasadora, gospodina Jonasa Vesterlunda. Ostanite i dalje uz nas, a za nekoliko dana ugostit ćemo i ambasadora Nemačke. Svako dobro.